Hey guys, it's Bro You Whack, and I just got back from the LA Valiant homestand where I watched a lot of Overwatch in person, but there was a lack of variety. There was definitely a hard set meta in that time of me watching Overwatch this weekend that is pretty spot on to my everyday Overwatch experience that I'm pretty sure you guys are experiencing as well. There was a lot of Mei and Reaper, there was a lot of pulled pork, which includes a Roadhog and Irisa, and the healers are in like their own category. I don't know what's going on with healers. Maybe they're fixed, maybe they're not, but seeing what happened this weekend, I really wanted to make a video talking about heroes that I think need to be reworked. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm trying to nerf these heroes to the ground where they're completely useless. No. That's never what I try to aim for in these rework videos, but especially in this one, what I'm going to be talking about are areas of these heroes that players rely on too heavily that don't really make up this hero. So that if you nerf this part of this hero, then it won't be too drastically different than when you try to pick them after the rework comes into play. But again, this is just my idea to really try to make the game a little bit more balanced. And the first hero that I thought that we would look at that's been getting away scot-free from too many reworks, from too many nerfs, is Irisa. They've been nerfing Zarya, they've been nerfing Symetra, but Irisa, the one meta hero that's been completely changed in the game of Overwatch for better or for worse, and has even pushed away the #1 shield tank for the longest time out of the meta, has not received a change. Well, does she deserve a change? Well, it's kind of hard to say, because when you look at Irisa by herself, it's not like she's necessarily the problem, even though she adds to it. No, what's the problem right now is pulled pork. What's meta right now? Pulled pork. What do you want to try to use when it comes to the two tanks? Pulled pork. What does that include? Two different heroes, not necessarily just one. So that's why it's kind of hard to suggest a nerf to Irisa, because it's a tandem use heroes. It's like trying to nerf pharmacy. But I do have one idea to try to fix pulled pork so that other tanks can be welcomed back into the meta. Right now, you use Irisa for the ult ability. Yes, her ultimate is good and she has long range damage, but the pride joy of Irisa is the ult ability that I think fixing that won't necessarily hurt Irisa too much, but will actually hurt pulled pork, which is what we're trying to go for, because that's a cheap tactic that anyone can really do. And I thought about changing the casting time, how long it shoots. I thought about changing the movement speed and how long it takes to pull someone. But ultimately, what I want to do, which is very simple, is to increase the cooldown time to about 12 seconds. That might be too much, but just definitely increase the cooldown time. And here's why. Irisa doesn't necessarily rely on her ult ability to get a majority of her kills when it's being used by herself. But when you look at her partner Roadhog kind of not only relies on his hook ability, but also the ult ability to make his job a whole lot easier. So when you increase the cooldown time to Irisa's ult ability, the ability to Irisa, are you really necessarily hurting Irisa's chances of getting kills? The main point of this nerf isn't to make Irisa bad, but to make pulled pork bad. Because when you really look at it, both of these abilities, both of them have the same cooldown, 8 seconds. So what this cooldown will do is throw this whole pulled pork tandem off sync. Roadhog is still going to be using his hook no matter what happens to Irisa, because that is how he gets a majority of his kills. So if you were to increase the cooldown to 12 seconds, or heck, even 10 seconds, it's going to make Roadhog forget about Hull. It's going to make Roadhog stop waiting for that extra 4 seconds or 2 seconds or whatever to happen, because he needs the kill now. He can't keep waiting all this extra time. If he's gonna be patient, okay, but pulled pork is gonna be less frequently used, but Irisa's ult, something that is not having Irisa rely on getting her kills, is not really gonna affect Irisa too much. So that's really my idea when it comes to this nerf, is that pulled pork would be less frequently used, to where Irisa has to really time out her ult, whether it's to get an environmental kill, whether it's to pull the Zenyatta that's trying to run away, or to use pulled pork. But the less frequent it is, the less times you will be dying from cheap tactics. But we have to talk about a new hero, because I just can't talk about Irisa for 15 minutes. Let's talk about Symetra. Now, are we gonna be nerfing Symetra? Yes, but are we gonna be reverting her nerfs that just went live on PTR also? Yes, because that was a complete BS nerf. But one thing that I don't agree with is the fact that Symetra doesn't have any resources depleted when she's shooting the shield. Because the problem with Symetra right now is that she's a big shield buster. Okay, but don't make her an even worse DPS. My idea of a Symetra rework, because this is a rework, it's not just a buff and a nerf, is to revert her damage back to the old ways where you can get 195 damage per second when you're at level 3, but is for her resources, her ammo, to be depleted when you are shooting the shield. That way, you can still burn down shields, and you can still shoot shields to be able to build to level 3 and still do a lot of damage, but you just can't cheese on a shield that has no way of defending itself from your level 3 beam. What a lot of people don't seem to realize, including people that do not play Symetra, is that she has the best, or one of the best DPS outputs in the game at 195 per second. You just have to get to level 3. What's the easiest and quickest way to get to level 3? Shoot a shield where you're gonna have the biggest ammo pool, or one of the biggest ammo pool, to be able to do that much damage. Well, I figured a good Symetra player that still wants the best DPS output in the game will be able to build it on the shield still. You'll still be able to shoot the shield and build it up, but you're gonna have to reload for that quick 1 or 2 seconds, and then that will kind of slowly start to deteriorate your beam unless you were able to make contact on someone else to maintain that beam level. Good Symetra players, I don't think will be affected by this too much, because you can still cheese your way to that level 3 beam, but you have to make that connection because now you have to reload because your ammo was depleting. I never really understood that when she was first reworked into the game, was that her ammo didn't deplete on shields, but here I think it will make everybody happy, including shield players, because your shield will still get deteriorated, but if you can kill the Symetra in the time that she's reloading, then I think you're gonna be okay. It's always hard reworking Symetra as the game evolves because you want heroes to be added, but Symetra really thrives when it comes to more shields being added into the game because of the fact that you can get to level 3 easier. But I think with this, it'll make it so that sim mains that are actually good, that want to get a lot of kills, which they are able to, can't just simply cheese their way. They actually have to maintain that beam. But bad Symetra players won't be able to maintain their beam because they're going to be wasting ammo on the shield and they can't make that connection on the other hero. You can still do a lot of damage, just not as easily as before. But for all the Symetra mains that think I'm being biased towards their main, let's talk about my main. Let's talk about Mei and a possible nerf, because I ain't blind, people. I understand she's the best DPS hero right now. I understand she's the most frequently picked hero in that DPS slot. But guess what? I've been known this, fam. I've been known this for 3 years. So am I surprised? No, not really. But I ain't biased. I'm the man of the people. I'm trying to make this game balanced for everybody, and I understand that this hero can be very frustrating because of the freezability. Well, let's fix the freezability. One thing that I loved about Blizzard adding to Mei way back in the day was the ability to freeze multiple people with your primary form of fire. This meant clumps of teams that were clumped together could all be frozen if they weren't moving and separating each other. But that's the thing though, is if you're all clumped up together and if you're all going together, that probably means you're an organized team. You're what the kids call a unit. That was stupid. It takes an organized team to be clumped together and takes an organized team to all be frozen by the Mei, and that doesn't seem fair. So my idea for this Mei rework, which is a rework, not just a nerf and a buff once again, is to revert her multiple freeze primary form fire ability back to how it was before the reworks, to where you can only freeze one person, because again, it's not like Mei really relies on getting her kills by freezing multiple people. She does rely on freezing someone to be able to get the kill, but you can't get multiple kills by freezing. That's just not how Mei works. So reverting it means that you can still get the kill, just not make it very frustrating to play. But here's where the buff comes into play, because this is one idea that I think Mei would really benefit from, but it's every single time she goes into her cryo freeze, her little tumbler ice block, she gets a refill on her ammo. If Reaper's Wraith form can ensure that his ammo can get refilled, why can't Mei? You have to realize every single time you go into your cryo freeze ability, your ammo is either all the way depleted or at least close to being depleted, and there's no real way of defending yourself other than your wall. But the thing about the wall is that you never want to try to use it just to defend yourself as Mei. Maybe your team, but at least for me, I try to use it as offensively as possible, but in that time, I really can't, because that's my only way of defense. Well, if I have a full clip of ammo, maybe, just maybe, if it's not not a full wipe, I can get back into the fight without having to reload for the extra second and a half. So that's what I'm really going for when it comes to the ammo refill, is an ability that you have to defend yourself. With all these reworks, I really wanted to go for nerfing the abilities that players shouldn't rely on. Should you really rely on building your level 3 beam on a shield? Should you really rely on freezing multiple people or halting these groups of people into a roadhog hook? I don't really think you should. That's why you didn't really see me suggest nerfing damage or nerfing speed or anything like that. But when it comes to these reworks, I really think this won't hurt the good Symetra, Irisa, and May players, and it'll actually make the game better. But just like you, I'm one of thousands of voices that has an opinion on this game. So that's why I want you guys to comment down below what you think the game needs. Do you think these 3 heroes need to be reworked, or do you think other heroes need to be reworked, like maybe Tracer or Genji or whatever can make other heroes better? I want to try to see. But I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. More Overwatch videos to come, and bye.